what does suffering have to do with being a business owner? If you're a business owner, you kind of already know. Being a business owner is a lot of suffering. You're gonna have to get used to being very uncomfortable 24/7. That's why the event is taking place. It's training, because you don't just need to learn how to do the official business stuff. You also need to train your mind. I'm a big believer in the best way to train for hard situations is to put yourself in hard situations. If you do really hard things, everything else is easy in perspective. This is the training for that.
Okay, so we were in Necker in January, Necker Island, Richard Branson's private island, and at the Principled Business Summit. And one of the guest speakers there was Joe Sena, the founder of Spartan races. And he connected with Alexander McCowan of Principled Business, and now we're creating this thing called Principled Suffering. So it's combining the concept of, you know, being a conscious capitalist, principled business leader with suffering, which is something that you are the expert in as well. And so I'm gonna be going to the event, and you know, as I'm working with others that are preparing to go, I have no idea how to prepare for this thing. So I really wanted to get your insight, Lucho. So please tell us, what do we need to do? How do we get started?
Well, first of all, why suffering? What does suffering have to do with being a business owner? Well, I guess if you're a business owner, you kind of already know. Being a business owner is a lot of suffering. Like, you think, oh, it's very romantic. I'm gonna start a company and I'm gonna own the business and everything's gonna go great. And no, it does not. So when you own a company, you're gonna run into trouble like all the time. So you're gonna have to get used to being very uncomfortable pretty much 24/7. Like, you don't have an 8-hour shift that you can just switch your mind off at some point and, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna go to bed and everything's gonna be cool. No, your business might fall apart overnight. So you are constantly suffering with that anxiety. You have to pay attention to everything, and you're gonna be running into trouble. You need to manage situations all the time. What's up with principled suffering? What is this event like? So the idea is, we took the format that we did in Necker, which was, there was a bunch of like keynote speakers, and then all of the guests were high-level guests, business owners or C-levels, like directors of companies and organizations, and they all gave about a 15-minute talk on something cool that they're doing that they'd like to share with the rest of the people there and get feedback and so on. So we're going to replicate that part, but then what Joe Sena added to that is, this is really awesome, but what if we mix it with something like a Spartan experience? For the Principled Suffering event in Vermont, what this is going to be is, it's going to be a 24-hour hurricane heat that goes, that's tied into the Principled Business event, more formal talks kind of stuff. So it's going to be the Principled Business stuff plus the suffering, so Principled Suffering. Now, what is the 24-hour hurricane heat? Well, yeah, that is...
Because I saw I was expecting like a normal Spartan race.
Right.
Normal. But
I
this
was
is
too.
Totally different, isn't it?
I was also expecting more of a, like, being tied to like a 5K sprint, something like an obstacle race. I'm not really sure how they decided to go for the 24-hour hurricane heat, which is a big challenge. So I just did a 12-hour hurricane heat, and I can tell you, I mean, I've done a whole bunch of obstacle courses. I'm an obstacle course athlete, as you know. I do them all the time. I love it. Now, the hurricane heat is a different thing. It's a whole different animal. First of all, I mean, the athletes, like the people that you see there are not quite like athletes per se. Whereas like if you go to like the elite group in an OCR, an obstacle course race, a Spartan race, you see that everybody's like super fit. They've been training for this. They know the techniques to do the obstacles. There's a certain set of obstacles that they're familiar with, and they kind of know what they're going for, right? If you go to the hurricane heat, you have people in all shapes and forms. Like, it's not necessarily like the fittest people. Of course, you have people who are super fit, but you also have some people there who are just in it for the challenge. They're going to be pushing themselves. And how? Nobody knows. It's kind of like, it's a mystery. It's going to be developing all through whatever period it is. So there's different formats for the hurricane heat. There's a 4-hour hurricane heat, a 12-hour, and a 24-hour. I don't know if there's any more. Like, I mean, I just did it. I only did the 12-hour. I have no idea like what the whole organization of it is. I know that there's a 4, I know that there's a 12, and I know there's a 24-hour.
Yeah, I think there's only those 3 because I saw that you get a third of a medal.
Oh,
and
yeah, that
they
makes sense.
combine together.
Yeah,
yeah.
So in Spartan, they do like to do that, like do the third of the medal a lot. So when you do the 5K, you get your 5K medal, and you get a third of a trifecta medal, and a trifecta is a 5K, 10K, and 21K. So if you put all of those thirds together, you get a really nice big medal, and I love those. Yeah, so yeah, that totally makes sense.
Okay, so what is the heat? What is it? What do you do?
Awesome. All right. So the heat, I think they're all different. You might do one heat and it's going to be something completely different than another. It's going to be an experience that I think is sort of based off of like military boot camp, where you're going to have something like a drill sergeant that's going to be giving you orders or missions, like you have to do this and that. So it can be something like, okay, let's go rucking for 2 miles. Then we're gonna, like, something that we did.
And what's rucking?
So
Sorry.
rucking, yeah, great question. I actually have my rucksack here. So this is a rucksack, right? It's basically a very sturdy backpack. And the idea with the rucksack is it's built to carry a lot of weight. So you don't wanna bring something that doesn't have a lot of weight, that can't carry a lot of weight, because it's gonna fall apart. And you're gonna have to carry your stuff somehow. Like, they're gonna make you carry your stuff. So you wanna make sure that you have a nice sturdy backpack if you're gonna do one of these. And see, like, I have all sorts of stuff hanging around. So at some point, they sent us an email with everything that we needed to have for the race, like a gear list. And one of those things was, of course, the rucksack. Then we needed to have a whistle in case we needed to ask for support. So I have this whistle hanging here. And they tell you like where to place it and all. You have to have these flashy lights. I forget the name. Like, for me, they were always like party lights, you know? But but apparently they also serve a purpose for safety and whatnot. And you have to have one.
Safety.
Those silly things.
Yeah.
And then you have to carry things around, like all sorts of gear lists. Like, we had to bring paracord. And one thing that I mean, I read a little bit before I went there, and somebody posted, I don't know, Reddit or something, a really cool advice: put everything in a Ziploc, because you're gonna be going into water a lot, and it's gonna be in the dark. So yeah, so let's rewind a bit. So what is the race? You don't really know what you're gonna be doing, but you know that you're gonna be doing stuff at night. That's one thing that you already know. So the 12-hour heat.
Because it's 24 hours straight.
Yeah, so the 24-hour is 24 hours straight. I did the 12-hour heat, and that started at 7 p.m. and it ended at 7 a.m. And then in the middle of that, a 4-hour heat group joined us, I think at like 3 a.m. And they did 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. So I'm pretty sure that no matter what group you're doing, you're gonna be doing stuff through the night. And that's one of the toughest things. Like, you're gonna be sleep deprived. I mean, I know I like to get a full night's sleep, and I'm all good with doing a whole bunch of obstacle races throughout the day, but take my sleep away, and man, yeah, that's gonna be tough for me. So that's kind of like the main challenge.
That's what's really testing your endurance.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Same with as a business owner, like, you can face a lot of challenges, but it's when you're tired, when you're exhausted, and you have to make big decisions. That's when it's like really the hardest.
And you will be tired, you will be exhausted, because you might, I mean, I know when I started, I was working like 16 hours a day or more. And so, I mean, at some point I was just absolutely exhausted. I also worked Saturdays and Sundays. And yeah, just the sleep deprivation really gets to you. Like, it gets to your head, it gets to your decision making. Like, you might not make the best decisions if you're so sleep deprived. And that's part of it. And it's great that you brought that back, because that's really what ties it together. Like, why are we going through this horrible experience? I mean, why are we putting ourselves through this torture as business owners? And that's why the event is taking place. Like it has the business talks, and it has the really pushing yourself experience, so that it's training. Because I mean, you don't just need to learn how to do the official business stuff. If you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to be efficient in managing a business, you also need to train your mind so that even when you're not at your peak performance, when you're not, oh yeah, I mean, I slept like 9 hours yesterday, I'm super refreshed, all cool. No, yeah, you need to make decisions when you're super tired. So this is the training for that. It's really gonna push your limits. And I'm also a big believer in the best way to train for hard situations is to put yourself in hard situations.
Okay, so you mean even hard situations in business, like even doing a hard situation in a physical
any
thing,
hard
you say
situation
transfers over.
Exactly. So it's basically like whenever you do anything that's hard, that makes you better equipped to handle hard situations in the future, no matter what kind of hard it is. If you climbed Everest, you're gonna be, everything in life is gonna be easy peasy, because you're like, man, I climbed Everest, this is what I have to fire someone. Chill. I mean, that's a lot easier than climbing Everest. Or I have to make it. I'm hiring candidates, and I have 2 really great choices. Which one should I make? Oh man, I can't decide. No man, I climbed Everest. I'll go with first girl. Yeah, whatever.
I just saw a quote the other day, I think Naval, and it said, "The harder the workout, the easier the day."
Oh yeah, 100%. Because if you do really hard things, everything else is easy in perspective.
Okay, so essentially that's the goal of this event. So you learn about business and the mindset, but then you actually experience it. You have to go through this endurance, and the idea is that it'll just be like this powerful thing for the whole rest of your year or future after that.
Exactly. I mean, it really just brings you back. Whenever I'm in a tough situation, I just kind of like build back on when I was in a tough situation before, and I go back to that, and I think, okay, how did I get out of this? And yeah, that makes things easier, whether it's a translatable situation or just the fact that I overcame something hard. Like it lets you know you can get through this.
Okay, so more practical tips now. So we have people signed up already. What are some things that they should be doing now to start preparing?
All right, so the first thing I would say is, if you already signed up for it, look out for an email. You will probably get an email from the Spartan organization with gear lists and all that. I learned a tough lesson. I kind of signed up very improvised, signed up kind of like a week before the thing, and I was moving out of my apartment, travel in the middle. I did not pay attention to the email at all. And like 3 days before the event, I realized, oh, I have to bring a gear list. There's this massive gear list, and I have to buy all these things. So I just rushed. Thank goodness I was in Florida, and I could get my gear on Amazon. And I got everything pretty quickly, but it was pretty rushed, and I didn't know if what I was getting was going to work or not. So yeah, first thing, look out for that email. They're going to send you a gear list. Make sure you go through that with time. Second thing, do a lot of burpees. Like, really do yourself a favor. Do a lot of burpees. Like, if you think you're doing great with the amount of burpees you're doing, think again. Like, do more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, how do you structure a burpee training? You just do some? Do you do a certain amount? How, in what time?
So one thing we learned about Joe Sena at the Necker event, he really loves burpees. And so there was a time in his life when he did 300 burpees every day, every single day, no matter what. So he really likes that, and odds are you will do at least 300 burpees. So get used to doing 300 burpees on a regular basis. And odds are if you're in the 24-hour hurricane heat, you're probably going to do a lot more than 24. So for the 12-hour heat, we did a mile of burpees, which is roughly like 2,000 burpees.
What? A mile?
Something like that.
2,000?
Yeah. So, I mean...
How
And
does it work? You jump and you do it, and then how do you move forward?
yeah,
Like how do you do a mile?
for the mile burpees, what you do is you do the burpee. We have a video with Joe Sena showing how we do the burpees in the podcast. So you can go back to that. We can post it somewhere around here, I'm sure. So you do the burpee, and then as you're coming back up, instead of just coming back up, you lunge forward like squat jump. So basically, you just do a regular burpee, and then as you go coming back up, you do like a squat jump forward, and then you start over. So you do that for a mile. We laid out. It was pretty cool actually. We one of the things that we had to bring as part of the gear list, we had to bring some little candles, like battery lit candles. And as a team, we all laid them out in a square. So we had a square that was like about, I don't know, the diameter of the square, is that? Like the area going around the square, it added up to something like a quarter of a mile. So we had to go around the square 4 times. And so that was a mile of burpees, going around the square 4 times. It was quite beautiful because it was at night, and the square was like a candle lit square. It was quite nice. There were also a lot of ants. I still have a lot of ant bites. This was like 2 weeks ago. Oh yeah, like these were hardcore ants. Like they were not tiny ants. They were like big red ants that bit very hard. Like I had like pus-filled bites for like a week. But
Oh
it was
man,
worth
okay,
it.
let's not scare people off yet. But
Well, I'm sure you can
Okay.
avoid that, but I'm very suicidal about how I go about things. So you might not want to follow my example. I'm very careless. If you just look down, we had headlamps, and if you just look down, you would probably be able to see, yeah, there's ants here, I'm going to avoid this, but I did not.
okay, so burpees and having a rucksack. Like
Yeah,
so
so
practice
rucking.
running or walking long distances.
Exactly.
with the
So you
rucksack?
don't just want to have a rucksack and just have it. Like the thing is, you have to carry weight on the rucksack. So they told us you have to carry 30 pounds if you're a guy and 20 pounds if you're a girl. So I would take that as like the basic. You should probably do more. And then on top of that, you have to bring water and like a pocket knife, extra batteries for your headlamp, all your nutrition. Like I brought a lot of jerky, jerky and like honey sticks, things like that. So yeah, you have to carry all that stuff in your rucksack. And I think my rucksack was roughly 40 pounds. So I would get very comfortable just walking around with a 40-pound rucksack on, because after a while it gets heavy and like you start to feel the straps and you might get like a strap rash, things like that. So you wanna make sure that you're comfortable doing that. You don't want to go with a new ruck. Well, that was a big mistake of mine, because I brought a rucksack because I usually have one, but the one I brought was like I had 2. I had a really big one and a really small one. And it was not the right size for all the gear, so I bought a new one. You don't want things to be flying around in your rucksack. You want things to be really tight because you're going to be doing stuff in there. Things need to fit, but they shouldn't be loose. Like everything should be pretty packed tight, because yeah, I mean, the looser it is, the tougher it is to carry, because like you're going to be running with your rucksack and everything's just like just floating around in there, and that's going to make it a lot tougher. So yeah, make sure you pack your rucksack really tight.
And we'll put maybe in the description some suggested rucksacks to get.
Yeah, and there's like these
Okay.
these plates that you can get for weight, and they're very handy. Like I just discovered them right now. Like what I used to do for the rucksack is just get some sand, bags of sand, wrap them in duct tape, and just throw that in the rucksack, and that adds the weight. Since I was short on time, I just got the plates, and yeah, you can do that. Like it's very handy. It's a lot more comfortable than carrying the sand. I will say
Yeah?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Part of the training, I would say, get comfortable rucking. I would say do both burpees and rucking overnight. Doing the 12-hour hurricane heat, it wasn't like, even though it was improvised, it wasn't that horrible, because I was already training for the death race. which is a 72-hour event. It's kind of like the Hurricane Heat, but it's 72 hours. So that's 72 hours with very little sleep and nutrition and all that. It's gonna be tough. I still haven't done it. I'm a bit scared, I won't lie, but I'm very excited about it as well. Now, part of my training for the death race is I went rucking down a mountain. So it was 10 p.m. on a Friday after a long week. I skipped dinner so that I would be hungry, because I'm probably gonna be hungry during the death race. And I was super tired. I'm a big nap guy. I didn't nap that day. I wanted to be very tired so that I would be more in the death race mindset. I mean, so it's what I was saying before. Like, you have to do hard things. Doing hard things trains you for doing harder things. So I made it as hard as I could possibly make it on myself, and I just went rucking downhill on a big mountain. Did it something like 26 kilometers. Started at 10 p.m. and went up and finally reached my starting point at 5 a.m. So that was a big part of my training, and that really helped me during the Hurricane Heat, because I mean, when things got tough, I would go back and, you know, I think I was more tired when I went rocking through that hill, and if I could do that, then I can do this. Because there were times when I'm like, man, why did I sign up for this? This is ridiculous, especially at night.
Okay. So rucking and night and fasted. How often do you try to plan in these things into your life? I mean, because that's the thing, that this event is for business leaders, and you have a thriving, operating business. How often do you plan these things into your schedule?
So I try to always have something to look forward to. I try to always have something to train for. I find
how often do you put training into your schedule?
Oh, how often do I train?
Like these bigger. Can you walk me through a little bit of your training process?
Right. So first of all, I actually don't have a schedule. It's getting kind of harder for me, because I've always been sort of nomadic, but I'm getting more nomadic, and I've just been flying around all over the place, and it's really hard to have to follow a strict schedule, because also, like, sometimes I might have days where I'm working like 16 hours and nonstop, and then I have days when I'm super chilling and like I can nap all day and everything's cool. I don't have like, I go to the gym every day at I don't know, 7 p.m. So I just try to get some movement going early in the morning. So like my typical day, I wake up as soon as I can. I try to wake up with the sunlight, like not set an alarm. Instead of like planning my wake up time, I plan my sleep time according to when I want to wake up. That way I get a good night's sleep, and I know that I leave like 2 hours of extra sleep planned, like in case I don't wake up. I will have an alarm, but I always wake up like 2 hours before then. So I plan for that. And then since I'm already up, and I don't have like a call or something important coming up like right away, then I'll go out in the sun. I'll do some mobility. So mobility is very good for me. I used to do a lot of strength training. Now I'm doing a lot more mobility. I still do strength training, but I used to have loads of mobility issues. So I've been focusing a lot on mobility and transferring strength like through movement. So basically just something to wake the body up. It can be 5 minutes, it can be 20 minutes. Some days if I have a lot of time, I'll do like an hour and a half, 2 hours of training, but that's not the usual. The usual is something more like 5 to 30 minutes. Then I'll work throughout the day. Usually while I'm working, I do try to get something in. Like instead of doing a super intense workout at the end of the day or at the beginning, I try to think of like, how did humans, I mean, what's human history? Have we ever gone to the gym to work out? And no, like we never did that. This is completely new. Like how did this cavemen go about staying fit? They didn't. They just moved all day. I mean, they were constantly hunting something.
You had to get water
Right.
and walk miles to get in and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right?
They were all over the place. So they were constantly moving. They had to climb some rocks. They had to climb a tree. It's like, oh man, I don't know, this animal's gonna bite me. I'm gonna climb this tree. Or oh, let's go up on the tree and see if something comes and we can throw rocks or spears or whatever at it. They were constantly moving. They were constantly climbing things. They were crawling under things to get to where they wanted to go. So I try to replicate that a bit in my day-to-day, and not just have like a workout time, but more like staying active throughout the day. Like if I have 5 minutes between a call, you know, I might go about doing some rope flow, something like that, or I might do some push-ups, like something easier. And then I do like to throw in some more like challenging things, like big expeditions every now and then. Like I mean, I just did a month down in Patagonia, and man, we were up in the mountains. It was beautiful. So we try to go for long hikes, at least, I don't know, 3 times a week. Just do something there, you know, and get a good run. I have to confess, I run a lot more than I would like to, because I'm not super into running. I just like running between obstacles, but I train running so that I can run between obstacles.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you kind of involve it into your life. It's very organic, the way that you train. You just try to move regularly and challenge yourself on a daily basis.
So I will also have some workout time, because I mean, even though I throw some activity throughout the day, I'm still not as active as a caveman would be throughout his day. I mean, I'm working on my computer, so I'm all crouched in like this, you know, like I have to remember, oh, straighten up your back, like stretch it out, do things like that. And then, I mean, I'm just static. I need more movement. So I also try to, like, if I didn't move at all throughout the day or whatever, I do try to get a nice good workout at least once a day. Maybe have 2 rest days a week, something like that. But I do try to get a longer workout where I do something like 300 burpees. So 300 burpees is a great workout. I love 300 burpees because something I really don't like is I don't like planning the workout. I don't like having to think, okay, what am I gonna do today? This is what I'm gonna do. And okay, I'm gonna do kettlebell swings, and then I'm gonna do kettlebell press, and like planning and then going back to, oh, what was I supposed to do today? It's too much draining. I like to keep things simple. So 300 burpees is great because you just go and do burpees, and that's it. Like, you don't need any gear. You can do that anywhere, and you just do burpees. So that's wonderful. Like, I mean, I took Joe Sena's word for that, and it's been wonderful. I loved it.
I did my first 100 burpees this week and enjoyed it. Yeah. I guess I'm inspired to move up, to push further.
Yeah, so a great recommendation there. And this was actually McCoben's girlfriend pointed this out, because McCoben and I were trying to do the 300 burpees. So Joe Sena, he posted a challenge towards the end of the year to do 300 burpees, some distance running or some distance on a bike every day from something like December 24th to the end of the year. And we're like, yes, let's do it. And then we started doing it, and we went all into the 300 burpees, and McCoben and I were so burnt out like pretty quickly. And Cam tells me, you know, I did the burpees in an EMOM. I did something like 6 burpees every minute on the minute, and then just rested for the rest of the time. And that was brilliant. It made it so much easier. And like you're done in like an hour or something like that. So that's a tip. I'd recommend doing burpees like on an EMOM. It makes it so much easier.
I'm the opposite of you, that I love to know exactly what I need to do, because it takes away any stress of thinking and doubting. Like, if I have to think about what I'm going to do, it's like the Steve
that's
Jobs
what I mean.
wanting to wear just black. Like,
that's
you just
exactly
don't think
why
about
I love
it, you
it.
do.
Because so I'm like you. I like not having to think about it, and that's why I like the 300 burpees, because it's like if I have to put energy into planning this, that's another extra step between where I am in my comfort zone, getting out of this and actually doing the work. Whereas if it's like my default workout is 300 burpees, I mean, I can change that up. Like if I'm like, you know what, I really feel like doing swings today and I'm gonna do, I don't know, X amount of swings. Well, yeah, let's do that. But if I want to change it up, I can go for that. But if I already have that default where I'm too tired to plan, I'm just gonna do 300 burpees. Yeah, then it's easy. I don't have to think about it.
Okay, so that can be the core basis of those who want to prep for the Principled Suffering event, 300 burpees a day, and I'll list out some of the other things that you suggested, so that maybe we can inspire people as a group to get ready for this. So I think that's good for now, but I want to open it up to people if they have any questions for Lucho on how else to prepare, any specifics. Lucho, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, do a lot of overhead press. So let's see, like let's put the thing on the rucksack. So try to plan having the rucksack pretty heavy. You want to have something like 40 pounds if you're a guy, 30 pounds if you're a girl, and then just do like squats and overhead press with the rucksack, because you're gonna be doing a lot of that. We did a lot of that. So you want to get comfortable with that. I have shoulder issues, so that's something that kind of, oh man, just the mobility of it is a bit painful for me. So getting used to doing this movement a lot is, yeah, that's gonna come in handy. You might have to carry some logs around, or we had to carry an Atlas stone all over the place as a team. So that's a really cool thing about the Hurricane Heat is it's a team event. So there's a lot of challenges that you do as a team. And so as a team, we had to carry this Atlas stone that was wrapped in a tarp because we couldn't let the stone touch the ground at any point. It was pretty cool. And yeah, so just get used to carrying uncomfortable things. Like, don't use kettlebells, don't use dumbbells. Use things that are what you're not used to working out with. Like, carry a log or like something that's very uncomfortable, that's not designed for you to use it as an exercise tool.
Okay, sounds good. I will be thinking of more questions, and I'm gonna get JJ started on your training. I won't be doing the heat this time, but I'm going to be his drill master.
All right.
To get him in shape for this. So
we'll
share some of
I
that
will
too.
expect you at the death race then.
I will start with a 4-hour something or a sprint or something eventually. But
well, I mean, you can definitely do the sprint. You did the Mountain Madness race, so the sprint is a great way to go.
But I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because when I first started researching, I was like looking up obstacles and things, but it sounds like this is such a different
it's a
kind
whole
of
different game. It's a different experience. Like it's not obstacle focused. So as part of the heat, we did go through the obstacle course, but we didn't do things like the monkey bars or anything like that. We did do we did
That's
the
my
wooden.
favorite.
Yeah, I love monkey bars too. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have been 100% for doing them, but it's a different experience. It's more about pushing yourself, pushing your limits. So like people with varying levels of athleticism had different challenges as well. For instance, at some people had to do the course with a rucksack, and some people did it without the rucksack. I don't know, like if things were easy for you, they made it tougher.
Okay, so pretend like you're struggling all the time. That's your key tip.
That is not the lesson, Kenley.
Take it.
If you're struggling, if you're already struggling, they're not gonna make you struggle more. What they want to do is they want to push your limits. And everybody's limits can be different. But yeah, that's the idea. Don't pretend.
I love it. Okay, so thank you very much. I think this is, hopefully we didn't scare off everyone from joining the event. And yeah, if people have questions, let us know in the comments below, and we can talk about it our next discussion.
All right. Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Hanley.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Goodbye.